Hey guys, this is New Sensei, and today we're going to cover another fundamental part of archery, and that's the release. Most of us know that archery has a lot in common with other sports, especially shooting sports. However, there are several unique things of archery, including back tension, anchor position, and of course, the release. The release looks easy, but there are many complexities which are overlooked, and as a result, many archers have problems with their release. For the purposes of this video, I won't really be focusing on the hook or the position of the string on the fingers. I'm generally talking about the release component of the shot process. Now there are some variations in the way people hold the string. Some use split finger, others use 3-under, but generally speaking, if you're using a finger release, the release is more or less the same for most people. I want to start this discussion by looking at the primary fault that plagues beginners, and that's something called plucking the string. For some reason or another, a lot of people imagine that shooting a bow has to be strong and full of action. As a result, beginners tend to overemphasize the release, resulting in a lot of tension and a bit of flare. This is actually really bad. Instead, what you want to achieve is a smooth flow. This is achieved by relaxing the fingers and letting the string come off by itself. Adding extra motions will disturb the movement of the string and ruin your shot. This is the same regardless of whether you're shooting traditional or modern recurve. The specific action of the release looks like this. Yes, it's very simple. In fact, one of the exercises you can do is to hook your fingers together and practice relaxing the fingers. Another practice tool you can use is a bag. This could be a sandbag with a handle, a bucket with water, or an empty bow case. Hold the straps as you would hold a bowstring, then drop the bag. That's it. It's that simple. The action of relaxing your fingers and letting the bag go is the same as letting the string go. You don't have to force the bag to drop. You might be wondering, wait, that looks nothing like a bow release. A release is elegant and precise. This is just dropping a bag. What you're thinking of is actually the follow-through, not the release. However, because a smooth, clean release results in the natural follow-through, I'm going to mention it here. When drawing a bow, the weight of the bow will pull you forward. To pull the string back, you need to apply a greater force than the bow's weight. This motion should not stop once you reach your anchor. You should be continually expanding. The movement of the hand in the follow-through is not a conscious action, and it shouldn't be. It is a natural motion that comes as a result of letting go. A clean follow-through reflects a clean shot process. Now, a good follow-through doesn't guarantee a good release, but mentally it helps. Remember that the shot process doesn't finish at the release. It finishes at the follow-through. If you mentally aim to complete the shot process past the release and actually aim for that point at the follow-through, you may find that you will get cleaner, more consistent releases. Instead of treating the release as the apex of the shot, treat it as part of the entire shot process. So instead of going, "Whoa, I'm done," think of it like going through the motions, coming up, draw, anchor, release, follow through, and that is your cycle. That's when you know you finished the shot. And if you can maintain this flow, that's when you do get consistent shots. One of the common form faults, especially in modern archery, is having a static release. A static release is when you come to your anchor and you relax, but you don't let your hand move past your neck in a natural follow-through, so you keep it next to your anchor point. This isn't always a form fault. In fact, in traditional archery, this is a lot more common. Some of the best trad shooters shoot with a static release. That said, in modern target archery, this generally isn't taught. The reason is Having a static release tends to breed bad habits. A shot should maintain flow and expansion. So when you come to your anchor, you should be continuing the expansion through your back muscles, and when you release, you tend to follow through in a natural motion. A static release, especially in the hands of a beginner who doesn't really know how to use it properly, they will come to the anchor and stop. The flow stops, the expansion stops, and what would happen often is that they will collapse. So a static release mentally stops you from expanding. Now, this isn't always the case. If you know what you're doing, you can continue the shot process and do a static release, but when you're teaching someone, it just adds a lot of complexity in your mind. What you should be doing is come through, flow, and relax. That static release is frowned upon in modern target archery because it's really hard to maintain good shot execution with a static release. If you're using a heavy bow, this is particularly problematic because when you come to your anchor, you will find that by clamping here and stopping your muscle expansion, you begin to shake and you begin to collapse. And this very subtle collapse is the result of, again, not continuing the flow. By looking at a dynamic release, you will tend to maintain the flow a lot better. Whereas a static release, by clamping it here, will tend to lead to weaker shots as you lose control of the draw. In contrast, the dynamic release, in which the hand moves past the anchor point, generally encourages better use of your back muscles and better flow and expansion. Instinctive shooters tend to pick this up a lot better. People who use sights or people who aim with the arrow are often fixated on that sight and to forget the shot process. And in fact, by having that static release, you can identify the form fault. If they're aiming too hard, they've lost the expansion, they're going to collapse forward, or they're going to stay stuck here. Instinctive shooters will tend to go up, back, release, up, back, release, up, back, release, in a very smooth, natural motion, which is one of the advantages of shooting instinctive. So dynamic releases have a lot of advantages. Static releases also work, but they tend to be very hard to do well. Additionally, a dynamic release tends to release the string a bit cleaner. A good clean release depends on the fingers opening up at the same time. If you don't open the same time, the string will catch onto a part of the finger in the split second before the string leaves the hand completely. So with a static release, if you're not doing it consistently and you're doing it in a very jerky manner, you'll find that the string won't come out as cleanly. It's very hard to get all your fingers to open up with that much consistency. It's a very small thing, very subtle, but it can cause problems with your release. In contrast, a dynamic release allows the string to roll off the fingers. So instead of having to rely on the string coming off neatly, it allows it to come off more cleanly because you actually are allowing the string to roll off the fingertips rather than forcing it off. This may sound confusing because it seems like there's more motion in a dynamic release. In fact, there isn't. The motion involved is redirected towards the natural line of motion, so it rolls back behind you. Compared to a static release, what tends to happen is it's more jerky. It's more stress involved in getting a clean release. Now, people can, with practice, get it right without forcing the string off in the wrong direction, but it's simply much harder. By the way, if you're having trouble developing a good clean release, there's an exercise called blind ball shooting. What you do is stand really close to the target where you can't miss, and you go through the shot process with your eyes closed. Now, the purpose behind this is that it removes all visual distractions. People who are aiming at a target have a tendency to lose concentration and their form breaks down. So rather than going through a clean release and a clean follow through, they're fixated on the target and their release becomes stressed and jerky. It's normal for an archer in training to use blind ball shooting as a warm-up and warm-down activity. This is because you want to start and finish with the right feeling. Additionally, an archer who is struggling in the middle of a training session may use blind ball shooting as a tool to reset their form problems. So in short, a static release, while it can be executed well, tends to be discouraged. It's very easy to foul a shot and you tend to lose your tension line. If you're getting instructions from a coach or you're getting feedback from people online, people will generally point out that you should be using a dynamic release. That encourages better flow and a more natural motion, which in turn results in cleaner releases. However, you have to remember that with a dynamic release, the follow-through is a natural result of what you've done. It's not something you add on as a flair. A good release and a good shot has flow. If you find that your motions are jerky and forceful, then you are likely plucking the string. Obtaining a good release is harder than it looks, and it relies on good practice and good muscle memory. Otherwise, you will find yourself being very stressed with your releases. The end goal is to have your release become effortless and natural and not stressed. Because if you're stressed, you're not going to shoot well anyway. If you're mentally stressed and physically stressed, then nothing will come out the way you want. Archery is about relaxation, and that's seen especially in the release. Anyway, hope you found this helpful. This is New Sensei. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.